Hello, I'm David Coburn. I'm the MEP for Scotland and the leader of UKIP in Scotland. I'm a proud unionist and a devout Eurosceptic. Well, it looks like Sturgeon is going to abandon her bid to remain in the EU. She has finally discovered what I've been trying to tell her for the last 2 years, that the European Union does not want an independent Scotland with its £15 billion SNP deficit, much less the problems it will cause with separatists in Spain, France and some of the Baltic countries. Sturgeon now fears that pushing for an independent Scotland in the EU will put off the 400,000 voters who've backed Scottish independence in 2014, but also voted to leave the EU. The Spanish Foreign Minister told Sturgeon that Scotland has to join the back of the queue if it wants EU membership. During his presidency of the European Parliament, Mr. Schulz told me that this was the case, and the SNP have been misleading Scotland and in doing so damaging business and Scottish jobs. More Scots have voted to remain in the UK than voted to remain in the EU. Nicola Sturgeon has no overall majority in the Scottish Parliament and therefore no mandate for a referendum. A YouGov poll this week showed that 57% of Scottish voters wanted to remain in the UK, and over a quarter of those who voted for independence in 2014 voted leave in last year's Brexit vote. She now knows fine well she will lose the referendum if she continues to push for membership of the EU. Now, her latest daft notion is to join EFTA, the European Free Trade Association, whose members include Norway and Iceland. For Scotland, this is even worse than being in the EU, because in EFTA, we'd have all the disadvantages of being in the EU, having to obey all the regulations, laws, rules, but without having any say or power in making those rules and regulations. What, for example, will be the reaction of the financial services in Edinburgh to being run by Brussels, without any say in the single market rules? This can only serve to make Edinburgh less competitive than the City of London. Sturgeon will have destroyed Edinburgh as a financial centre. Outside of the EU and the UK, Scotland would need its own currency. Well, good luck launching that with a 15 billion SNP deficit. Pure Sturgeonomics, ground from the finest unicorn horn. Well, thank you very much. I hope you look at my websites and my Twitter feed, and I'll see you next week on Current Affairs with Coburn. Thank you for listening.